Hello, citizens of YouTube land.
Hey.
It's your president and your VP. And today, we're going to review Matthew McConaughey's first movie.
No, that one. Get that one out of here.
We're reviewing Dazed and Confused today.
Nice.
Yeah. So, Dazed and Confused is a 1993 movie that was written and directed by Richard Linklater, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And it stars Matthew McConaughey. And he's not really actually the main character in the film. He's kind of a support character. And there's a perfect description of his character, well, right here.
So I absolutely love the Dazed and Confused movie, but Matthew McConaughey was nothing but an old guy hitting on little girls, turning into a pedophile.
So with that out of the way, guys.
That's a special guest appearance right there.
Special guest appearance, special guest voice appearance.
Yeah.
With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get on into it. So,
the film was released September 24th, 1993.
Okay.
You know how we do these things, Dad.
Yeah, well, you're the one that's kind of got control of it.
It had a budget of $6.9 million. Nice. And it grossed $8.2 million at the box office. Not so nice. Yeah, I don't think it actually did a lot.
Well, it's kind of a cult classic nowadays, guys. And also, I want to kind of apologize for the lighting today. We're filming when it's starting to get a little dark outside, so we're kind of using the indoor light, and it's putting a little bit of glare on both sides. So we kind of apologize for that, but it is what it is, guys. We just kind of felt like, well, let's just go ahead and do it. You guys know how we are on this channel.
Yeah.
So with that out of the way, guys, this is the story of the last day of school in an Austin suburb in the year 1976. And it is truly a period piece in that we can't really show, or we can't really let you know about any of the music in it because it's all licensed music. But you've got groups like Foghat and Aerosmith,
probably where a
Black
majority
Sabbath, and
it's probably where a majority of the budget went.
That is probably where a majority of the budget went because, as we mentioned, this is Matthew McConaughey's first movie.
He's still kind of an unknown character at the time, or an unknown actor. In fact, a lot of people in this movie were
also, there's this guy in the movie. And, well, we're not sure if he really amounted to anything. Oh, wait, he did.
He apparently played Batman.
Yeah, he apparently goes on to play Batman. Who knew? So with those two out of the way, the movie follows basically the entire class of school. You've got freshmen represented. You've got a few sophomores. They don't really mention juniors much, as it's mainly freshmen and seniors, because the seniors, for some reason at this school, now guys who are my age will remember this movie for many different reasons, because it really resonates with you, because we all kind of went through that. We all kind of went through the initiation of being freshmen in high school, so we kind of understand.
I didn't go
maybe
through
not
that.
As far as, say, this right here. And as you can plainly see, as we're talking here, what's going on, this is clearly unacceptable.
Yeah.
So with that out of the way, guys, well, I cannot condone what we just saw, as that's hazing, guys, and you can't do that. But for comedic purposes and for the fact that it was actually a thing that happened to so many of us, yeah, we understand. Because also that it's kind of a group initiation thing, and that you see this in many groups and adults and all throughout. So the idea of initiating people, especially of the younger persuasion, into the group and being accepted, you get totally behind that, because that's something that you see over and over again, and it's just a natural process of society, if you will. So with that being out of the way, and I'm making this entirely too philosophical, philosophical, excuse me, because it's really not that deep. It's a high school party movie, guys.
Yeah. So, anyways, the film kind of opens up with it saying that it's the last day of school in Austin, Texas. It's very well known that this movie takes place in Austin. In fact, it was shot in Austin. The whole point of the movie at the very end is that they're going to Houston to go get Aerosmith tickets.
Yeah, so we quickly learn who the main characters are. You've got Mitch, who's going to be an incoming freshman. And Mitch has a sister. I already kind of forgot her name. It's not really that important.
Yeah, she's kind of not really
character.
Well, she is kind of important because she like takes that one freshman girl under her wing.
Yeah, she's kind of important, but not
really. That's really it. You know.
I already kind of forgot her name. I'm sorry, guys. I literally just watched the movie, but it's really not important. But she does mention to her friends, her high school senior friends, hey, take it easy on my little brother. He's kind of little, she says. That's a big mistake, first of all. If you're going to maybe try to stick up for somebody, maybe don't go to the entire group. Maybe pull just one of them aside so that they can maybe convince the rest of them. As that might have been a better option, but no, she makes her big announcement in front of all of them, and they immediately lie to her face, and then proceed to mentally torture Mitch for the next couple hours. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, he like they straight up, or like here in this clip.
These guys, I don't know. Oh, there's just a little bit of bullshit and all that, right? Major bullshit. He's a dead man. Fucking dead. Shotgun.
Then they go to the middle school, right? And they have like this loudspeaker or whatever, and he like uses his like little like walkie-talkie thing where he's like, hey, since we're feeling so generous, you could file it, or you can form up a single line and take 10 licks from each of us. And then
or you could run like the little rats that you are, and it's going to be open season on you. And then he specifically mentions Mitch by name.
Yeah, he's like, hey, Mitch, we're coming for you.
And Mitch's friends, okay, Hirschfelder is kind of cool. He gets the whole situation in a way. The other two little jerks, though, nah, I'm sorry. They are totally uncool, and they should have gotten their butt busted, but they didn't.
No.
They don't.
So anyways, like, basically the school ends, and then all the freshmen get initiated and whatnot, and then Mitch and his friends kind of, like, go into this, one of their other friends who stole their brother's car.
No, didn't steal, borrowed it. They borrowed their friend's car, but they're met up with the seniors, and they're cornered on one of the little jerks.
It was Carl.
Front doorstep.
It was Carl.
I refuse to acknowledge his name because I hate the character.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. My phone just went off.
Anyways, on this channel, guys.
Anyways, so yeah, Carl's mom pulls a shotgun
on O'Banion, who we met earlier. If you guys were paying attention.
Yeah, it turns out to be this guy. I don't think he'll amount to much in anything.
Yeah, I know we keep pointing back to him, but we really don't think he's going to amount to much.
Anyways, and so then he basically proceeds to be like, "Oh, you guys are so dead," you know?
He's a complete psycho. Like, one thing I got to mention, guys, in this review here is that the seniors, they seem to take absolute pleasure and glee in the fact that they are mentally and psychologically torturing these freshmen.
Yeah. There's a cooler senior named Floyd who kind of like, because like Mitch, he gets busted by the seniors at his baseball game. And Floyd, he kind of like takes Mitch under his wing, you know, and he's pretty much protected from there on out.
He also got accepted because here's the other thing. Although I don't condone it, Mitch took it like a man.
Yeah.
That's the whole key to the situation is that, no, I don't condone it. And in today's society, it doesn't fly because we have different definitions of manhood. But when it came to 1976, okay, He takes it like a man.
Yeah.
And therefore is accepted in the group. The other two don't. Hirschfelder, who, mind you, Hirschfelder, I mentioned him because, guys, it's later on. He's at the rec center, all by him lonesome.
Yeah. And
So Hirschfelder's got himself a bit of an action thing going on. Let's be honest here. Let's call what's going. Let's say what's happening here. He's getting some action. He's doing his thing. His friends, Carl, I will mention it this time because it kind of makes me so mad.
And the other guy,
Carl,
and the other boy, I think
little jerk,
Tommy, I think is his name.
They do this to Hirschfelder right here. You see,
you can piece it together.
So they're leaving, and Hirschfelder gets caught by the seniors, and he gets busted. And they respect him though because he too takes it like a man. Yeah,
and he one of the other seniors tosses him a beer, and he's like, "Hey, why'd you waste that on him?" That type of thing. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, but so it's really O'Banion who's the complete psychopath, as we mentioned, and who is really, 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 really into spanking boys. I know, but he is really into spanking boys. I know. So I just have to put that out there, though. So they plot their revenge. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
One of the seniors asks Mitch if he can go get him a sixer, right? And he's like, "Yeah, sure. I bet I could go do that." And he actually does
because he learned how to talk like somebody who's a bit older from the Matthew McConaughey character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so then basically Matthew McConaughey's character, he basically tells everyone, he's like, "Hey, guess what? There's going to be a party going on. You're all invited and whatnot." And so now we are getting to the party.
Oh, but before that, because we have to talk about the humiliation of O'Banion. Sorry about that. We have to talk about the humiliation of O'Banion because, as we said, Mitch, he goes against the sixer for the senior. He runs into his friends, and they set O'Banion up because they make it seem like that the little jerk Carl is going to get what's coming to him. But that's not what happens because, essentially, they pull a carry on O'Banion. I cannot describe it any simpler than that.
Yeah, because O'Banion, he goes for the swing, right? And then they dump paint onto him, and he's just really, really angry about that and drives off, and we never see him again.
Yeah, and that's the end of him in the film. Meanwhile, okay, there's also this other group that we got to talk about, guys. It consists of this girl with a red head. She's got a fro, and her two geeky loser friends.
Well, one of them's not
really, but okay. I gotta be honest with you though. The guy with the glasses is kind of sort of on the same scale as this guy. I know we keep going back to him too, but. Because earlier in the film, they had done the whole initiation, but they also did initiation for the girls. No, the girls weren't spared either. This was a complete humiliation all across the board. No gender excluded. Yeah, I went there.
Yeah.
So, one of them is tasked with asking the blonde senior with glasses if he'll marry her, and he says, "Well, what do I get?" And she's like, "Well, anything you want." Well, later, that same girl kind of hooks up with him, and it's portrayed as it's supposed to be romantic, but it's really not. I'm telling you, it's not. It's not.
And well, Mitch himself, he gets an older girl himself.
Yes, he does, because Mitch is big time, and that's another thing that we got to mention. Throughout the whole thing, it shows that Mitch becomes big time and kind of leaves his friends behind. And that's a message that you can also understand clearly because hey, that happens in life. Sometimes you kind of outgrow your friends. And in this case, when you move into a new setting, a new environment, a new job, if you will, sometimes you're going to leave your old friends behind. And that's exactly what actually is happening there, if you think about it loud and clear. It's kind of unique in that regard. So, anyways, to wrap the whole thing up and put a bow on this thing,
one of the redhead girls' friends kind of like starts a fight in a way, right? But he basically ends the party. Like, this whole fight ends the party.
it ramps and it ramps up because the guy says, "Oh, I smell that this other guy's like been smoking some reefer or whatever," is the line. And the guy gets all offended about it, and he goes up to the geeky guy. Again, I don't remember his name because it's not really important.
I don't remember either.
It's not really important.
We just watched the movie. That's how unimportant that character is.
But it escalates because, okay, here's some advice for you, though, guys. Sometimes when you know that there's a dominant alpha male monkey type guy, like that guy clearly was, he was right in that aspect. It is psychological assessment of him, of being the dominant alpha male. I'm gonna, aggression, the type. So he was right in that assessment, but by not, what he was not correct in his assessment was that it was going to be over after he gets the one lucky swing in, because guys, it don't always end that way. And sometimes it's better to let things go. Just to let it go. Yeah, your pride is going to take a bit of a hit, but sometimes it's better to let it go, because after all of that and the party and everything, guys, it ends because said geeky guy he ramps himself up so much that he pours a drink on the roided up freak, basically. And the guy turns around, sees who it is,
and he gets sucker punched.
And he gets sucker punched. He gets up. It's immediate, though. He starts raining blows left and right. I mean, they actually do a really good job with the fight scene, because the camera kind of cuts back and forth between their faces and the punches and whatnot. It's actually very well done in that aspect. But it goes on for a few minutes, actually. And then the whole crowd kind of comes in and breaks it up like he thought they would, just not after the first punch like they thought they would.
Yeah.
So everybody kind of breaks off, and then there's this whole other storyline that we'll briefly touch upon that's actually pretty important about Pink discovering who he is and how he doesn't want to follow the rules set forth by the football team, and that he kind of wants to go his own way, and they kind of resolve all that at the end, where he tells the coach that, hey, I may play, but I'm never going to sign this little pledge thing. But meanwhile, me and my friends, we off to Aerosmith, yo. And so that's
our top priority of the summer, yeah. Everybody kind of goes back home and whatnot, and yeah, the day's over and the movie ends.
So, guys, Dazed and Confused it's an absolute perfect nostalgia trip. If you're ever wanting to understand what probably life was like in the mid-70s, it's going to be a pretty good time capsule of what it was like as a high schooler in that time period. And also, it's just kind of phenomenal the way it was all put together. I know it was actually basically a very low budget movie, and even though he said it didn't make money, this movie is a cult classic, yo.
Yeah,
everybody and their mom has heard of Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, it basically made back its money and rental sales, streaming sales,
and not to mention
DVD
it was
sales.
Also, I can even tell you guys that it was probably full disclosure here for those of you who might remember this. I remember catching this movie on a little program that used to air on USA that was part of their late night lineup. I think you guys might remember it. It was called USA Up All Night. And that's where I first saw this movie at. So it's been a staple, and everybody's heard of it. Everybody knows the lines. Everybody knows the Matthew McConaughey stuff. It's been memed to death. So what more can be said about I almost kind of flubbed it up there. But what else can be said about Dazed and Confused, guys?
Yeah.
Other than what we've already said about it. I mean,
yeah,
right?
there's...
But what really puts it over the top, over all of it, is in fact the licensed music. Because as we said, you've got Aerosmith, you've got Foghat, you've got Black Sabbath. The list goes on and on and on in this film. It's just one banger after another, helping to set the mood and the atmosphere. And so, therefore, based on all that alone, 5 out of 5. What say you?
Also 5 out of 5.
So, yeah, guys. And again, now, however, if you have seen Dazed and Confused and you believe that it is the worst Matthew McConaughey film of all time, well, then clearly you haven't seen the other movie that's considered his first movie, and that being The Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. So with that being said, guys, but hey, also, just remember, we're just
two idiots with a webcam. Our opinions do not matter, except they actually do, because we have a YouTube show, except they actually don't.
So, with all that being said, guys, stay tuned, because I cannot wait. I proudly bring to you guys, for our Mother's Day special, Mommy Dearest. Enough said.
What was that?